Sox in the basement.
I'm the Sox nerd with my weekly White Sox thumper. Can you name the only team the White Sox have played twice in the postseason? I'll have my answer at the end of my spiel later in the podcast.
And welcome into a special episode of Sox in the Basement at Cork and Kerry at the park, 33rd and Princeton, in the shadow of the ballpark. Your home for pregame, postgame, in-game, and one of the wonderful supporters of Sox in the Basement. We're going to talk about them a little bit later on, but first I want to introduce our guest for the day. A little bit of a conversation with Father Tom Hurley. How are you, Father?
I'm great, Chris.
You're my first priest on this show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're the first priest I've ever had Sox in the Basement. I've had other priests on other podcasts. I think you're my first priest on this show.
We're making history now.
We got to do this. I got to work my way to the Pope, and I don't think he's coming on my show unless I bring a priest on.
It might be a while.
Yeah, it might be a while. It might. I want to have you on today. One, you're a big Sox fan.
I love them.
Two, this team this year has really glommed on to the fact that the Pope is a Sox fan, and they're doing an awful lot of stuff, and you've been involved in a couple of different things. You did a thing with Ozzie Guillen, that was like a TV promo, I remember. Yeah, you did the Peace Be With You during the fifth inning of the big Pope hat game. You've been kind of involved with the team. How did you get involved with the White Sox?
I have no idea. I'll be honest. It's been a lot of Sox stuff for me this year. Yes, I grew up with them. Yes, I'm a fan. But I've never been this involved with the White Sox in all my life. And some of it, is the whole priest thing and Pope Leo. But some of it was through Pat McGann, our good comedian friend from the South Side. And then that's how that all started with that promo. It was the first Crosstown series back in May, when, by the way, we won, and it kind of launched us into where we are today.
Yes.
But he's the one that called me and said, would you do this thing with me with Ozzie? And if you remember it was, I don't know if you want me to explain it to you.
I remember.
But I mean,
Tell me all about it.
Well, no, the whole premise was, McGann, of course, came up with the whole skit, and Ozzie came to Holy Redeemer Church.
I think that's what threw me off, because I'm watching television, and then all of a sudden my church is on the TV. And I'm like, why is Ozzie at my church where I go? I mean, because you're the pastor now, Most Holy Redeemer.
I am.
Okay, you were down at Old St. Pat's for a long time, right?
Yeah, many years.
And then you're over at Marist High School right now
do that too.
And then you became the pastor, I want to say about a year or so ago.
Yes.
Yeah, over at Most Holy Redeemer. And all of a sudden, here's Ozzie Guillen in my church. I'm like, I can't get Ozzie on the show. Maybe I got to go meet him for Sunday Mass because he's hanging out over there.
Right.
So you shoot it over at your home church.
We did it, Holy Redeemer. Pat had asked me, and so the whole premise was, we're going to play, the Sox are playing the Cubs. Ozzie has said some uncharitable things towards the Cubs throughout the years. So therefore, maybe Ozzie needs forgiveness. So he wrote this whole skit about how Ozzie's going to come to confession, and then I said, no problem, and we got a guy. We got a guy in Rome. We got the biggest Sox fan ever in Pope Leo. And so that was the fun part about it. It was all lighthearted, good fun. People had a lot of fun with it, and so it was good. So that was number one.
That was very cool, and I want to get into the stuff with the Pope here with you. This episode of Sox in the Basement brought to you by Hyatt Home Medical Equipment. Switch to a new age of life. Help mom and dad, grandma and grandpa to stay out of assisted living. Hyatt has stair lifts, ramps, grab bars, lift chairs, even bathroom remodeling. You can help them get around on their own and live independently, and they're going to work with your insurance. They have 0% financing for qualified individuals. If you use a CPAP machine, you're unhappy with your vendor, switch now, get supplies directly mailed to you, and also the latest and greatest in continuous glucose monitors and so much more. Order online or stop in their Evergreen Park location. See more at HHME.com. A lot of Evergreen Park here. You're from Evergreen Park. Hyatt, the sponsors in Evergreen Park. Evergreen Park.
This is it.
Well represented here.
How about it?
On Sox
We're putting Evergreen Park on the map.
Okay, so I want to talk about your fandom a little bit before we get into Pope Night, because I can't wait to get into that. But first, your fandom. You're a White Sox fan, and you have talked about them in church before, and I find it to be really interesting. I I've been in church where I've had a priest talk about his fandom of his sports teams, which I find to be very interesting, how you kind of interweave that in. Tell me about how you became a White Sox fan and what it means to you this season. We're out of the blue. Here we are trying to win a division.
Like I said, like a lot of us, probably all of us in this bar, right? I mean, you grew up either a Sox fan or a Cubs fan. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. It was as natural as being baptized Catholic. I think that's part of the baptism, is that you're also baptized a Sox fan on the south side. So that just was a natural part of it. But anyhow, it just kind of grew this year in ways that I never, ever imagined. That I'd be doing something with Ozzie Guillen, number one. This is my first time I met him. People were like, I didn't know you knew Ozzie. I was like, I don't. That was the first time I met him when he walked into Holy Redeemer, and we did 4 hours together to come up with a 2-minute skit that people saw, prior to the Cubs-Sox game. You can still catch it on. It's obviously online like everything else.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Something to definitely check out. It's very, very cool. Another thing you can see online is the Peace Be With You during the Pope Act.
Right.
I watched that. I thought you did good with that. Honestly, because it could become campy. It could have been over the top. I think it was a really good way of explaining, this is what this is. This is why Catholics do this. Let's have a little bit of fun with it without going over the top. Did you worry about that, though, while you were there? How am I going to talk on this microphone, explain this to people, and not turn this into a bit? Because, you don't want to make fun of what you do in church, right?
Yeah, correct. That would not be good for job security.
Yeah.
No, I was very worried about that when it was presented to me. By the way, that was not my idea. And it wasn't Pat McGann's idea. It was the guys in marketing from the White Sox. They were like, could you guys do this?
Okay.
Lead everybody in the sign of peace like we do at Mass at the end of the 5th inning. I was like, what? Even McGann was like, what are we doing?
Oh, there's got to be a moment where you're like, can I do this? Do you call other priests up and be like, hey, do you think this will be cool?
No, I didn't ask for any advice on it because I didn't know if they were saying, no, Hurley, don't touch that, and it's like, so we just went with it. I thought it was going to be like the Ozzie thing. I thought Pat was going to be working on some type of funny skit, and then I kept waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm calling him, texting him, and say, hey, man, do you got anything for us? And he was like, yeah, I'm kind of thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. But we got here on the night of the Pope night, and I was like, where's the skit? He was like, well, here's what we'll do. And we kind of walked off into the corner and was like, I'll lead us in like this, and then you take it from there. And I was like...
And you're like, you take it from there?
Take it from where? I got 38,000 people here. It worked. You know what? At first I thought this could be really nerdy. It could be... People might be... I don't know if people are going to be offended or whatever, but we were amazed. And I think really, not to get hokey here, but it's like... But it's what I believe. It's like... I think the grace of God was kind of working at that moment, where everybody was having a good time with the Pope hats, the mitres, and, Sister Mary Jo throwing out the first pitch and all this kind of stuff. But it's like, man, when you looked around on the Jumbotron, it's like, wow, people were actually doing this. I invited people, 38,000 people, to stand and find a new friend and offer the sign of peace, and they did it. And it wasn't like, knee-slapping funny. It was like real serious.
That's awesome.
And the feedback we've gotten ever since these past couple of weeks have been over the top positive. And so much so, when the following week the Cubs are playing the Sox and you got these guys, throwing haymakers at each other out at the unfriendly confines.
Right.
It's like, oh my God.
Maybe we need a little bit Peace Be With You during that one.
Yeah, do you think so?
Did you see the guy that did it? We talked about it in the last show. The guy that did he jumped 3 rows down in the upper deck.
Gosh.
It's nuts. We need more Peace Be With You.
Yeah, do you think so? Yeah.
You might have to be a regular.
You want haymakers or the sign of peace? It's like, oh my goodness. The whole Pope hat thing, just, was
that fun for you, or was that something else where you were like... I thought, because I think it's cool. I thought the Pope hat thing was cool. But I've had some people sit there and tell me, like, I don't know, they're wearing a Pope... Like, some people get sensitive. You know this.
The Pope liked it.
The Pope liked it.
Yes.
All
the word is coming out of the Vatican that he saw what happened. He loved it. He thought it was great.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well,
I've heard that from various people, and a lot of St. Rita people who are connected to the Pope because he's an
Father Tom
Augustinian.
McCarthy's like big friends.
I didn't hear it from him, but I heard it from a few others.
Okay,
No.
so you're hearing through the grapevine.
Absolutely.
Pope thought the
I
half
think
thing
the
was cool.
Sun-Times actually wrote a story recently. I saw it on Twitter that I think the Sun-Times wrote an article that said that the Pope was made aware of it and actually he thought it was cool.
So, like, I was thinking about this when it was happening. You know, I did morning radio for 10 years, and I was a rock morning radio DJ in the 90s. So, Lord knows, it was a little wild in the mornings, right? Like, it might not be something my priest approved of. Like, every once in a while I would tell a story in confession. He'd be like, maybe you need to get out of that business, is what my priest would tell me. So it was a little wild. But I did still talk about my faith on the air, and I did still mention God in a time when a lot of people didn't. And to me, my thing was never talking about it never spreads anything. So there is a positive to the idea that here we go. We're showing an entire fan base, we're showing the baseball world how Catholics kind of do their thing, right? On the other hand, though, I mean, Southpaw comes walking out in a Pope costume and starts doing one of these, and I was like, I don't know. Like, he's doing the sign of the cross, and I'm like, is there a line? Like, do you ever sit there and think to yourself, like, I'm worried they're going to come to me and say, do you think it'd be wrong for us to have, like, churro-flavored host in left field? Like, at some point, there's a line, right?
Listen, there is a line.
Yeah.
There is a line. But I think all the things that the White Sox have done so far, honoring Pope Leo, I thought have been delightful, fun, and totally fine.
Yeah.
Lighthearted, fine. You bring up a very good example. You know, churros flavored host, that's sacrilegious.
That'd be a problem. That'd be a problem.
Sacrilegious.
I would have a problem.
You know, that's one of the most sacred things. That is the most sacred thing that we do as Catholics is the Eucharist. And I think to poke fun at that or to do anything lighthearted with that, I think that's sacrilegious. That's inappropriate. Let me tell you something.
I would imagine if they had an idea, they'd probably run it by somebody they've already talked to. Like, you might get a call like, hey, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think?
Well, I'm not boasting or taking credit for the whole mitre thing or the Pope hat thing, but I did have something to do with it.
There you go.
Mike Downey, who works for the marketing, in charge of marketing for the White Sox, I did his wedding 3 years ago.
You know everybody.
He called me last year. Mike called me and said, I want to run some ideas by you.
Okay.
Because we want to honor Pope Leo. And so they originally were going to do a bobblehead. And unbeknownst to me, I think they ran that by the Vatican, and the Vatican kind of gave them the
They're like, we're not doing
a
Pope bobblehead.
They thought that was not becoming of the papacy.
Okay.
So then Mike says to me, well, we're thinking about handing out like a vestment. I said, a vestment? Yeah, you know, like that thing you guys wear.
Where it
goes
around,
yeah. And I said, I don't know if that would be appropriate.
Okay.
And I said, I don't know if that's going to work. And I said, first of all, a couple things. Number one, I don't know if it's appropriate and people could be inappropriate with it. And I said, secondly, you know, with all due respect, anybody from the priest to a bishop to the Pope can wear one of those. That's not distinctive of the Pope. I said, what's distinctive of the Pope is either the crozier, the shepherd's staff, but I don't think you want 40,000 nuts running around with sticks during a
Have you seen what's going on in the stands? We just talked about this. That fight gets a lot more physical if there's a bunch of staffs out there.
Right.
That'd be a bad look for the Vatican, too.
So on
ESPN, you got a big fight in the stands. They're hitting each other with
whacking each other with shepherd staffs? Yeah, that might not be too good. So then I said, the other thing is the hat, the mitre.
Right.
And I said, that's a distinctive look for a bishop, and he's known as the Bishop of Rome. So that would be a good thing. Anyhow, so I just left it at that, and the next thing I know, a few months later, they're announcing that on August 11th, they're going to be giving away these Pope mitres in honor of Pope Leo.
Oh,
so
you got to.
My name's not on it, but I help.
I think you unwittingly became the compass that they're using, and you don't even realize it. Like, you're trying to figure out what they can.
And I'm really not the guy. I'm not the go-to guy.
You better not make your boss upset over in Rome. Listen, for exterior windows, doors, patio doors, and storm doors, look no further than Window and Door Superstore of Oak Forest. No high-pressure sales, not in your kitchen. They're not in your living room. They're not disturbing your peace. Instead, you're in their showroom talking with an owner, getting all of your questions answered. There's an owner on site during install, and they never farm out the work. They use all of their own workers. That's how they do it right. They've been doing it that way in Oak Forest since 1985. All major brands custom made, no stock items for a perfect fit. Window and Door Superstore is a half block east of 159th and Ridgeland at 6280 159th Street. See more at windowdooroakforest.com. I love the idea, though, that, because marketing guys throw everything at the wall. I've done marketing before. Doing morning radio. I would sit there and say, all right, what if we do this? And I've done some, Tom Brokaw once said of me on a television, on the air, without saying my name, that some guy tried to sell a baby on eBay, and it was despicable. It was me.
Oh, my.
We had the permission of the mom, right? We put the picture up there. This is when it was brand new. We put the picture up there. And then, we got yelled at a lot. So we throw a lot of stuff at the wall. So I like the fact that they're checking with you.
My Pope hat thing is a lot more mild than your thing.
To make you feel comfortable that we all try things, okay? We all try things. But I do like the idea that they're kind of talking about it. I do think it's cool that Pope Leo is also paying attention. Not only the time change, but also the fact that he is, running the Catholic Church. The fact that he's able to keep up not only with what the team is doing, but that he communicates back to people. I think it's really neat. What do you think about this connection? Because to me, it makes the Pope maybe more human than I've ever seen the Pope in my lifetime. That he's from Chicago, he's a Sox fan, and you hear from him. I think that Pope hat idea was cool.
100%. When you think about it, take the Pope hat thing out of the equation. Just look at the fact that we've got a guy who went to games here, grew up on the south side, was born here, grew up here on the south side of Chicago, and now is the Roman Pontiff, the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. And when most people said, especially guys my age, your age, whatever, we'll never see that in our lifetime. And then lo and behold, last May 8th of 2025, who comes walking out onto what's called the loggia, or the balcony in Rome, is a guy from the south side of Chicago.
Right.
No one ever saw that coming. Listen, a couple things. Number one is that I think it's awesome. You're absolutely right. Now we've got the papacy that looks even more accessible to us because it's a guy that we know. I talk to people all the time that text him back and forth because they're friends from the south side of Chicago, and he's...
I think the Pope is texting his buddy, can you believe this bullpen? Are we going to get another starting pitcher?
Right.
I guarantee it's happening, yeah.
Right. I think there's stuff like that. I heard a story, I don't know if it's true, but I guess his brother, I guess Pope Leo, or Bob from the family, is the go-to guy for IT.
Okay.
And I guess maybe his brother or somebody was still texting him hey, I got a question about my computer or whatever. And I guess he texted back and said, I am the Pope right now of the Roman Catholic Church. I don't have time to be fixing all your computer problems. So it's
I can't get my printer to link up with my laptop. Bob, can you help me out?
Yeah. No, I'm busy. Love Bob. Or Leo.
I gotta think Pope Leo at some point, as all popes do, they travel to different countries. He will come to America and probably come to Chicago for sure.
Without a doubt.
I would imagine he does it during baseball season because if you're the Pope, you want to throw out the first pitch, right? Presidents have done it. I think the Pope could throw out a first pitch, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Whether he, bobbles it into the plate or not, I think he's gonna. He should do it.
There's part of me that wants to see a Pope Leo appearance with Ozzie on the pregame.
Right?
Are there
I think it'd be awesome.
Do you think of these things? Because I think of these.
I do think of these things.
Yeah.
No, I hope and pray the day will come. I know it will come. I don't know when he's going to be able to come here. He is the Pope. There are, the church is global. So, there are other places he's going. But I have every reason to believe that he will be here in the United States, in Chicago, in the coming years. I don't know when, but he's coming to Chicago.
Yeah.
And he's going to want to go into that ballpark just a couple blocks away. And
he's got seats waiting for him.
Yeah. One's got a plaque on it from where he sat in 2005 for the World Series. So it's he's coming. But the other thing too is just the whole, I love the excitement. When you think about the White Sox, we're only going to give away 2,500 of those hats. And then they saw the demand and they saw that, oh my gosh, everybody's buying tickets for this game. And then it was 40,000 hats that they made. Put the hats aside. Look at the energy that this guy has done not only for Chicago, but for the church.
Yeah.
People are feeling re-engaged, and I think that's really an awesome thing. Engaged in their faith, engaged in the life of the church. And if that comes through the avenue of baseball and a Pope that loves the Sox, so be it. You know, this Holy Spirit works in all sorts of different ways. And I just think it's awesome stuff. And it's not just, ain't it great that a Pope is a Sox fan? No, it's great that us Sox fans can be proud of our Pope and the church, and he's one of us. I think it's awesome. I really do.
What do you think about the season? Let's put your baseball hat on. We'll get away from the Pope and stuff for a second. Like, you're a baseball fan, and I think people who are watching on the YouTube, they have to notice, like, he's not sitting here in his priestly garb. Like,
No.
Priests, when they're off duty, they just go out and look like regular people. So the next time you swear at some guy in the stands, he may be a priest. So just watch yourself a little bit, okay? But I mean, like, you're a fan. You're watching this team.
I am.
I mean, Cleveland has suddenly gotten themselves over 500. It's only a couple games that are separating these teams. They're very young. They got pitching problems. I mean, they just don't seem to have enough starters right now. What do you think? You've been watching this team for a long time.
Thank God for the bats, huh? How about Peters, huh?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Especially the past few nights. I mean, it's awesome. Again, I don't know the science of baseball probably as well as you do or a lot of the fans do. But how can you not be excited about this? I mean, everybody thought, oh no, here we go again. This is going to be another abysmal year. And then, as we know, it was that weekend of the Cubs series, the first one back in May, that catapulted them into this really successful time. I'm nervous about the next month. You know, they're only at this point, maybe 3 games ahead in first place. So I'm a little nervous, but I'm hopeful. And they're gritty, they're hot, and I love it. I love it, and I'm hopeful they're gonna make the playoffs. I hope they go far into the playoffs. Are they going to be World Series contenders? That might be a stretch.
I mean, just getting to the playoffs for this team,
oh
to me,
my goodness,
is every goal.
Oh my goodness, yeah, absolutely.
Because this should not be happening this year,
right?
And their development, their player development is so far ahead of their pitching. It's why they're doing so well. Now you hope that the pitching, which is probably on the actual track they thought it was going to be on, it's not behind. Just the other side is way ahead.
Yeah.
And so now you got to hope that the pitching catches back up, and you see for years and years here coming up, improvement, things get better, and then you see them go make those deep runs in the postseason and challenge for a World Series. So this year is just fun to me.
Yeah. And again, you're more in touch with it. You're smarter than I am. Are they doing things in terms of kind of recruiting hopeful new pitchers to the bullpen?
They're developing pitchers.
Yeah.
I mean, Hagen Smith looks good, but he wasn't ready to be a starter. Okay, he has control issues. We saw that in Game 2 against the Rangers, where he pitched 2 innings, couldn't get through the second inning to finish out the game because he couldn't find the plate all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
So they have young guys, and we've had Don Cooper on the show before, and he talked about that. Like, you need to develop pitchers that go deep in the games as starters and throw strikes. And if you look at what's going on right now with their young pitchers, that's the Achilles heel. And that's the thing they have to teach them. I don't think it's an unteachable thing, but it's something that the White Sox now, if they don't figure it out, it'll be the first glaring deficiency in the front office. And up until this point, I've been happy with what they've done to build it. I didn't expect this year, so everything here is ahead of where I thought they'd be. But you could see what has to happen next. It's really the pitching.
Yeah. I agree with you. They got
to figure it out. You've been so patient with all of my ad reads. I'm going to kind of lead into this one by asking you, do you collect records?
I do not.
You don't
I do not.
Records.
I'm sorry.
Well, then this ad read is not for you, Father. Just sit back and relax. Moose Vinyl is an application for record collectors to manage their record collections online, buy and sell them. It's available on your iPhone. And then they have a record store in Lamont at 238 Main Street, where right now they're starting a whole program to collect CDs. People don't listen to CDs anymore.
No, you're
Everything's
right.
on their phones.
You're right.
Yeah, I've got a ton of CDs left over.
Me too. What should I do with them?
You could sell them back to Moose Vinyl because now they're going to start buying and selling CDs as well at their record store.
No kidding.
Yeah. Get rid of that. What's your biggest CD in your collection? What do you listen to? Megadeth, Metallica?
Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath. Big Ozzie Osbourne fan.
Oh, yeah.
Moose Vinyl, the app is a newer, streamlined app designed for collectors that allows you to take the information from apps you've already used and import those CSV files over to their platform, and then you get the best user interface around. So check out the Lamont downtown location, and then also check out Moose Vinyl, the app on your iPhone. Coming to Android soon.
I'm going to do that. What's that?
Moose Vinyl coming to Android soon. You an iPhone user or an Android user?
iPhone.
iPhone. You can already get it. It's already on iPhone.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
wow.
You're ahead of the game.
I learned something new every time I'm on with you.
All right, before I let you go.
No problem.
Fun story for you. We have a couple of shirts here. I'm going to pull one out here. Cork and Kerry gave us a couple of shirts. So that's the back of it, which I love what it says
What's
on the
it
back
say?
of it. It says, "That's a terrible idea. Okay, what time?" And on the front of it, it says Cork with the symbol.
There it
okay.
is.
Bill Guidey here from Cork and Kerry told me you baptized his daughters.
Ah, yeah.
They're well into their 20s. I thought that was unfair when he told you that. He's like, "Hey, Father, you're old."
That was a lot of years ago.
I mean, think about it, though. Like, we're talking about how the Pope, which is the number one White Sox fan now out there, we're talking about how the Pope knows everybody, and they're all texting him while he's over in Rome.
It's unreal.
You know a lot of people, too. Like, I mean, like, you've been around long enough. You walked in the room, there were some waves. There, like, you're like a little minor celebrity.
No, I'm not. I'm not a celebrity.
Have you been
That's
recognized yet for the stuff you do with the White Sox? Has anybody come up to you in the ballpark and be like, "You're the peace be with you guy"? Like, have you gotten one of those yet?
Not at the ballpark. I haven't been here since the 11th,
Okay.
but I don't think anybody's going to recognize me.
If I see you,
the only people who recognize me are
later.
the
I'm gonna be
people
like, "Look, it's the peace be with you guy," and then I'm gonna walk away.
They're like, what? And they're going to walk away too. Trust me. This is not about it being a celebrity. It's just, I'm very grateful for this beautiful vocation that God has asked me to live, and I'm just really fortunate to meet great people like you. And I mean, look at, I never imagined I'd be doing stuff like this on a Wednesday night in August. Talking on a podcast,
yeah.
Exactly.
Sitting on this.
But I'm only doing this because. I've been fortunate to just meet a lot of great people and walk into their lives, and they've walked into mine. So just like Bill, and doing a baptism. That's just great stuff.
Well, I appreciate you doing it.
Are you kidding me?
I'll throw a little extra in the
Anytime.
collection box on Sunday.
Get that recorded.
Father Tom Hurley, big White Sox fan, and also I love the stuff you've done so far with the team. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think you're doing a
I'd
great
love
job
to.
with it. And the best tidbit of this entire show was that the Pope reached out after the hat thing and kind of like passed the word around like he thought it was cool. I love that.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard from some pretty reliable sources.
I love it. I love it so much. Thank you so much.
You're the best. Thanks, Chris.
That music means the Sox nerd. Dave Marin is on the line with his trivia nuggets and tidbits that he puts up on the scoreboard at the rate each and every home game. And then he has so much more here for us at Sox in the Basement each and every week, brought to you by the Village of Lamont. Want to experience a downtown with real history, great eats and drinks, and green spaces filled with adventure? Visit the Village of Lamont. Shop, dine, drink, explore. Check out the ever-expanding slate of massive fall events going on in and around Lamont at lamontdowntown.com. Nerd, what do you got for us?
Chris, I'm glad you, your daughter, and Father Tom, and the rest of Sox Nation were treated to the meat of the historic run by one Tristan Peters on Wednesday night. I'm sure you could see, Chris, history was unfolding so rapidly in front of us, I couldn't type fast enough to get all the information on the scoreboard. Well, luckily, I have this platform, so let's talk Tristan Peters. OMG, what a run. The native of Winkler, Canada, is on one of the great heaters in MLB history, not to mention White Sox history. Peters emerged from the Texas series at right field with 10 hits in his last 5 games, a homer in every game with multiple doubles, multiple walks, and a stolen base. The only other player to duplicate those feats in a 5-game span is Babe Ruth. Ever heard of him? The Babe did it from June 10th to June 14th, 1921. By the way, during the Babe's run, he faced the White Sox 4 times and slashed 400, 538, and 600 with 2 doubles and an RBI, but the Sox won 3 of 4 in New York. Peters separated himself from Jimmy Fox and Joe DiMaggio when he homered in his 5th consecutive game in Wednesday's win against the Rangers. The dinger made him the only player in history to hit for the cycle, hit a grand slam and walk-off home run, homer in 5 straight games, record 6 RBIs, and reach base safely 5 times in a game, all in one season. When Peters was sitting on a 4-game homer streak, he was on the above list with Fox, who did it in 1933, and DiMaggio, who did it in 1937. Peters is the 8th player to homer in a Sox record 5 straight games, and the 3rd rookie to do it, along with Munetaka Murakami and Ron Kittle. Thanks to Murakami and Peters, the White Sox are the first team since at least 1900 to have 2 rookies with a 5-game home run streak in a single season. In the final 2 games of the Texas series, Peters was a triple shy of becoming the first American leaguer to hit for the cycle twice in a season. National leaguers to do it are Milwaukee's Christian Yelich in 2018, Arizona's Aaron Hill in 2012, and Brooklyn's Babe Herman in 1931. The first to do it was Tip O'Neill for the St. Louis Browns in 1887 in the American Association, which is recognized as a major league. Tip's manager and first baseman that season was the old Roman, Charles Comiskey. Some non-Peters nuggets: Grant Taylor's 2-pitch save on Tuesday was the Sox first since April 15, 2008, when Bobby Jenks accomplished the feat. Wednesday, Texas's Mackenzie Gore became the first pitcher wearing number 1 to face the White Sox. No pitcher has worn one. The lowest number a Sox pitcher has worn is number 2 by Lane Tech grad Bob Wieland, who donned it in 1931. The Sox have 5 walk-off homers this season by different players: Peters, Vargas, Rogers, Caro, and Braden Montgomery, which ties the team record. Chris, your sit-down with Father Tom got me to thinking again about our Sox fan Pope. I worked the game he attended in the 2005 World Series. He had an audience with me, you could say. Anyway, I commemorated that moment by wearing my Game 1 shirt to Pope Night. Also, Pope Leo is not the first pontiff the Sox have been connected with. On their 1914 World Tour, members of the Sox traveling party, including owner Charles Comiskey, had an audience with Pope Pius X on February 11th at the Vatican. According to Chicago Tribune reports of the day, the Pope addressed the gathering and blessed the children of Sox manager Nixie Callahan as he departed. Before I get to my stumper answer and zinger, credit to Sarah Langs, Optistats, and Elias for some of the information in this report. Also, I remind you, gems like these and more can be found on my WordPress blog, which you can find at soxinthebasement.com. I am also on X, Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. My stumper answer? I asked for the only team the Sox have faced twice in the postseason, and it is the Houston Astros in 2005 and 2021. My zinger? Luis Angel Acuna recently made his 3rd mound appearance, which ties the Sox record for position players in a season with Vinny Capra, Josh Harrison, and Matt Davidson. That's it, Chris. Probably more than you wanted to know about wild game combos, the old Roman, and low-numbered hurlers.
Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement.
Sox in the Basement. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always on soxinthebasement.com.